But anyway, it's Friday morning. We're live. It's Firearms Friday, and I've got a couple of things to say on this particular Firearms Friday. First off, look around, ladies and gentlemen. We are witnessing possibly the end of a uniformed police force in the United States of America. And as such, I feel entirely vindicated on doing the Firearms Friday segment for the last, what, 6 years now? Yes. Um. Now the other officer. So Rolfe is the other officer in the Rayshard case, and we're going to skip around a little bit this morning because the situation with Rayshard and the abolition of the police um is more important. But we're still going to do our usual DRT. But I'm going to start here. Uh, to Officer Brosnan, I want to apologize for my harsh treatment of your situation yesterday. Now that we've learned that Paul Howard is not just a radical activist, a radical far left anti American activist who hates the police and seeks to see their abolition in support of the terrorist group known as Black Lives Matter. We also know now that he's a damn liar. And so, Officer Brosnan, you have my sincerest apologies for thinking poorly of you to begin with. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope that when all this is said and done, and you and Rolfe have been justly acquitted, that you have the presence of mind to sue the city into an absolute deficit. You find the best lawyer you can. You rely on us, on we the people, to run some GoFundMe campaigns and raise the money to make sure that you get the best lawyer possible. Um, Maybe that guy that's representing the Covington kids. What's his name? Damn, Barnes. Something Barnes. That's the one. Get him to come out here and tear them apart. Because this is a travesty. So let's skip over a bit. I'm gonna break the rhythm a little bit here. We're gonna go ahead and hop into our regular DRT. Cameron, we got kind of a late start on our show prep this morning, so I haven't actually read the article yet. You want to read it as I scroll it for you? Is that doable? That's it's there. Okay, one of the suspects apparently jumped on top of the elderly woman and zip tied her, and then let the other two in, ransacking the residence for jewelry. Three burglars climbed a ladder behind the apartment complex and broke in through the balcony door. That sounds to me like she was carefully targeted. Hey, we found us a an old lady, because we're talking about them entering an apartment not on the first floor, through the back. It says the suspects are believed to be under the age of 25. Took the son to a nearby hospital where he's in stable condition. Neighbors said it's possible the suspects also live in the apartment complex. Yeah. So there's our hashtag DRT for the week. And I'm I hate to give our Friday segment such short shrift, but let's. Oh, goody. Well then, former police officer was charged on Wednesday with murder and aggravated assault in the fatal shooting of Rayshard Brooks outside a fast food restaurant. Another violent encounter between a black man and white officers captured on video that has inflamed national tensions over race and policing. Okay, that statement. Let me explain something to you. The only reason that the very rare occurrence of a fatality in the custody of the police, where it happens to be a black man, there were 9 last year. This thing where the police attempted to arrest a criminal for committing a crime, and then the criminal attempted to murder the police, and the police responded by justly defending their own lives and the lives and safety of the people around them. This occurred 9 times in 2019. I, did I not specify unarmed? Okay, okay, and that is also an important caveat. Um, but the narrative is that there is a rash, a genocide level epidemic of unarmed innocent black men being murdered by police. If you say the words, if you make a statement that includes the sentiment, Dindu murdered by white cop without provocation, you're stupid, or more probably, much more probably, you're a damn liar. And the even more probable case is you know it. Before I go much further, not to put too fine a point on it, but much like Antifa, the organization BLM, and I cannot say this uh, emphatically enough. You have the innocuous statement "Black Lives Matter," with which nobody that you can point to disagrees. Nobody is out there saying Black lives don't matter. There are no organized protests. There are no speakers with a platform that are saying Black lives don't matter. That is not a sentiment that exists in a meaningful way in this country. Now, of course, there are exceptions to every rule. There are a couple, handful of hateful people out there. Take the American National Socialist Party, a far left party of socialists who want to have their socialism for a pure white ethno state. And yeah, you can point to both of those guys and say they don't think Black Lives Matter. Um, and honestly, you'd even be wrong there because that group doesn't doesn't hate black people so much as they prefer white people. I know that this sounds like a defense of the National Socialist Group, and it's not exactly, because please believe I'm not in the habit of defending leftists. Um, like all other Democrats, National Socialists are evil. But what they want is not to exterminate or eliminate non-white people. What they want is to establish a territory that is exclusively for white people, and that is a distinction. That is an important difference. But I mean, we're talking about leftists, we're talking about Democrats, and they're not capable of nuance. So, to be very clear, just like Antifa, the organization BLM, Black Lives Matter, that uses that innocuous statement with which no one reasonably disagrees, is a terrorist organization. And they use that innocuous statement with which no one reasonably disagrees as their moniker, precisely so that if you criticize their platform of radical feminism, their platform of radical communism, their platform of the abolition of the American family, of the traditional Western family, I should say, their platform of the abolition of Christianity, their platform of reparations, their platform of dramatically increased taxation, their platform of socialized medicine, their platform of abolishing law enforcement, then if you criticize these because they have that innocuous moniker, the left gets to treat you like the thing that you're saying is that black lives don't matter. So to be very clear, when I say that Black Lives Matter, the organization, is a terrorist organization, I am not I am not even denouncing black supremacists. I'm denouncing this specific terrorist organization, which is comprised and organized on behalf of black supremacism. They are ethno-separatist, ethno-supremacists, pro-segregationist terrorists. And D.A. Paul Howard is one of them. Oh, really? Wow. And yeah, I hope that Alex and many others are seeing a little more truth here. The Rayshard Brooks incident, because the Rayshard Brooks incident is such a clearly justified shooting, such a clearly justified case of the use of lethal force in a police interaction, I hope y'all are rethinking your positions on the George Floyd case. Because the fact of the matter is, in the George Floyd case, just like in the Rayshard Brooks case, judgment was jumped to immediately, right? And I will fully admit the George Floyd case looks very bad, but judgment was jumped to immediately for the purpose of using the excuse of entering it into evidence to prevent the body camera footage from being revealed to the public. That body cam footage would, if it were not exculpatory of the charges against the officers, it would not have been prevented from being released. It would have been the only thing we ever saw. Just like in the Rayshard Brooks case, where if you go and look at any main media outlet, the only footage that they're using is the shot from the Wendy's security camera that that only shows after the criminal fought the cops and stole their weapon. It only shows him being shot, right? It only shows him being shot. It doesn't show the part where he beat the shit out of both of those cops, took a weapon from them, which Paul Howard himself has recently argued is a deadly weapon under Georgia law by classification. Only then, in this case, to argue that the officers were never in peril of injury or death. The Rayshard Brooks case is so clear cut that you can see what's happening here. And if you go back and look at the George Floyd case and consider this, that charges were filed, the officers were fired and arrested before any investigation was ever conducted, you can see clearly that whether or not the George Floyd case was justified use of lethal force, the question of whether or not it was justifiable lethal force was never a part of the equation. The only part of the equation is that our our city governments have been entirely co-opted by a terrorist organization that calls itself Black Lives Matter for the explicit purpose of making it unthinkable for a police officer to enforce the law when a non white criminal is involved in committing the infraction. The objective is a lawless country ruled by mob. It will lead to feudalism. Come on down to my hamlet and see that how that works out. We've been doing that more and more lately. It's just that kind of world now. I think I. Oh dear. No. Okay, I think I figured it out. Now run your mouth. Quite possibly. Um, Nothing appears to be working correctly over here.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I don't know what happened, but I think I fixed it. Wow, sorry guys, we just had us a little hiccup.
Okay. What? Man, good Lord. Why does OBS change the settings? Why does it do that? Anyway,
Well, thankfully I did most of the talking early on. Hopefully that came through.
she says now she hears me. Oh,
Okay,
thanks, Danny. Glad you're here.
I think I know what happened. I know I fixed it, but I did
Li-
I did three or four things just now, so I'm not sure which one fixed it.
Live shows are hard.
Yep. Uh,
Yeah,
oh, and
that
there
was.
there went our rhythm.
Yep, it's all off. But no, this is the world we live in. That I'll just I'll sum it up. You can think what you want to think about Breonna Taylor because you don't agree with no knock warrants. You can think what you want to think with Ahmaud Arbery. You can think what you want to think with George Floyd, and that one in particular looks bad.
Okay, okay. In the Breonna Taylor case, they had a warrant with a no knock exception. They did a no knock move on the trap house. They did two simultaneous raids, one on the trap house, to which Breonna Taylor was suspected after a long investigation of transporting drugs and drug money. Breonna Taylor was implicated and named on the warrant as a person of interest in a long running investigation into a complex drug operation. Breonna Taylor was not an innocent victim in this. The narrative idea is that because the cops had a no knock warrant exception, what they did is they kicked in the door, stormed into her bedroom while she was asleep, and murdered her in her bed. That is false. They conducted a no knock raid on the trap house, and then they knocked on the door at Brianna's house. Her boyfriend started shooting at the cops, and that's how she ended up getting shot. The story of Breonna Taylor is a lie. George Floyd was not killed over a counterfeit $20 bill. George Floyd, a violent criminal with a long history of multiple violent felonies that included beating a pregnant woman with his pistol, had raised suspicion by attempting to commit yet another felony, and in the course of being arrested on his on what would have been his 10th felony charge, which means he was going to jail for a long time, when he resisted the police, when this very large man, whose autopsy showed to be inebriated under the influence of methamphetamine and fentanyl, this large, dangerous, violent criminal fought the police and died as a result. What was the next one you said? Oh, Ahmaud Arbery, again, multiple felon, history of felony activity, one of which included taking a firearm to a high school sports game, was under suspicion of committing criminal trespass with the intent to commit additional felonies to include burglary. The homeowner did report missing property before he later recanted and said, "No, I don't think there was any missing property after all." The McMichaels attempted to conduct a perfectly lawful citizen's arrest. Arbery assaulted them, and guess what? Arbery doesn't get to go on the list of unarmed black men shot in America, because as soon as you put your hand on somebody else's weapon, it is no longer his gun, it is the gun, and you are also armed. Arbery is not a miscarriage. Arbery was Arbery brought it on himself. Rayshard Brooks, a criminal with a history of multiple violent criminal offenses, which include child severe child abuse and false imprisonment. We don't know the details on the false imprisonment, but the probability there, since the children don't have access to a car to drive away and leave, is that the details on the false imprisonment include the abuse and false restraint of the wife and children before his felony conviction for such an incarceration therewith, followed by his release from prison after 1 year of serving onto probation, and then he was busted asleep in the Wendy's drive-through for DUI, a violation of his probation, and chose to attack police officers. He didn't just choose to attack police officers. Let me make this abundantly clear for you. If you're being arrested over a parking ticket, which is clearly a misdemeanor, and you suddenly steal the officer's weapon and fire it at them, you are now a felon. Even if you had a clear record up to this point, as soon as you steal a cop's weapon and attempt to murder him with it, you are now a felon. So there's four. I can do this with just about every case that BLM has ever touted. And here's the point. All your heroes are monsters. All your heroes, your martyrs, your exemplars are evil men, except for Breonna Taylor, who happened to be a woman.
Did you just assume her gender?
I did. I assumed it
Damn it,
based on the
Chris.
autopsy,
Damn it, Chris.
which is
Title VII
science.
says you're not allowed to do that anymore. Or actually, it doesn't say that. The Supreme Court now says it, but
Yeah, the
whatever.
Supreme Court says there's no such thing as women's sports.
Yeah, but
We're already 25 minutes in, and you said you've got to get early. I hate to say it, but I really want to dig into some Supreme Court stuff, and maybe it's worth doing a pop up tomorrow morning. Um,
yeah. Look, let me just say this: that we're here. You open the show by talking about you're now looking at a post police America, and we may very well be, because the narrative from the left for so long now is that the patriarchy and white privilege and cops are evil and the system's evil and you're never going to get a fair shake, and the more victim points you have, the harder life is on you. And well, hey, congratulations. This is what you guys have been angling for. And it looks like you actually just might get it. But you're going to reach a point where people have to defend their homes, they've got to defend their neighborhoods, they've got to defend their businesses, and that's going to amount to protesters getting run over in the street, and rioters getting shot. When the president tweeted, when the the shooting starts, everybody wanted to interpret it as a threat, as part of this larger narrative of the evil white supremacy bullshit.
Not everybody, only
No,
Black Lives Matter terrorist supporters.
well, in the mainstream media and so forth, all the
That's what I
never
said.
Trumpers. But no, he was just stating a fact. Like, it wasn't a threat. When you start to steal property, now you're running the risk of getting shot, and it's just a fact. So, yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that. You're when the cops are afraid to do their job, and this is one of the things that we talked about on our Monday show. I really wish they'd just put Rayshard in a chokehold. I really do.
And we talked about this already a little bit. One of the officers tried to get on Rayshard's back and put him in a choke, and ended up on Rayshard's back in the scuffle, and started to put him in a chokehold, and didn't. You could see it. He got his arms up around his neck, and then he let go. And I've already said, that was the moment. That right there was the moment when Black Lives Matter became responsible for Rayshard's death. Because if that cop had correctly applied a rear naked choke, which he was in position to do, he correctly applied a rear naked choke, Rayshard would have been unconscious in seconds. The fight would have been over, and he wouldn't have had to die.
Hey, it was his kid's
All this,
birthday, man. I totally get so hammered at my
yeah, I'm
kids'
sure she was.
birthdays.
I'm sure she was really looking forward to seeing the daddy that got incarcerated for beating her.
No, man, I totally get so hammered at my kids' birthday parties that I just got to have a junior bacon cheeseburger and I DUI pass out in the middle of the drive-through. Everybody does that, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Anyhow, good grief. And we're not even in election season yet. Ah,
Oh, but that's about to happen, and buddy, that's gonna be comedy gold. Because you know what's
I
gonna
hope
happen?
so.
You know what's gonna happen? It's gonna be so funny. Joe Biden's gonna try to use words.
Folks, the thing that the thing. Corn Pop was a bad dude. You're a lion dog faced pony soldier. Oh Lord. This is still a fantastic
Yeah.
insult. I have no idea what the hell it means, but it is a fantastic insult.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
I'm looking forward to a few more of these.
Why?
Why?
because uh, wait a minute. Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Corn Pop
All
was a
right, man.
bad dude. All right, brother. Y'all, it's been a hell of a week. Y'all be safe out there. Remember, the police don't care anymore because the leadership doesn't care. Uh, y'all, if you leave the house without a firearm on your hip, you are taking your life in your own hands now because the police have been effectively disbanded by Mayor Bottoms and DA Howard. Black Lives Matter has made you unsafe. Period. So, don't fry bacon naked, don't drive drunk, don't fight cops, and don't leave your house without a spare rod. Rock and roll.